You're listening to the 212 Roundtable Podcast. You can find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, and Google Podcasts, as well as Apple Podcasts. Be sure to leave a review and subscribe. You can also find the Brew Club at 212.beer. That's the number 2, the word 12.beer. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by searching 212 Brew Club. Now on to the show.
Welcome to another episode of the 212 Roundtable.
How's it going, Tony?
Oh, thanks for saying my name. I forgot to say my own name. Tonight we are doing part 2 of our Bourbon County Stout episode, and we brought back Pat. Pat, welcome back.
Hi, I'm Pat.
Still may have the record for the best intro ever by just the way you introduce yourself. I love it. You should be on every episode. We also brought back you guys are, the three of you are the first guests to ever come back. Well, Emil, you're a part of the club, so you'll be coming back. But we also have Eric back, who was on our New England IPA episode.
Yes.
Welcome back, Eric.
Thank you.
Yeah, because apparently we thought having a guy from a barrel warehouse at Goose Island was appropriate for the Northeastern IPA one instead of the actual Bourbon County one.
Yeah, so that makes sense. So thank you for coming.
Hey, no problem.
Emil, good to see you again.
Yeah, great to hang out with you guys.
You realize the irony in the fact that we had to ply Eric back with our own Bourbon County?
So we got all this Bourbon County. Eric, want to come back and drink it with us?
It worked.
Yeah, it did work. Well, that's
Yeah.
good. And who better to discuss Bourbon County with than you?
Mm-hmm.
So we all, on the first episode, or the first part of this at your party, Pat, we discussed a little bit about how you came to like Bourbon County and why it's pretty much the only beer that you like, right?
Well, no, I'm expanding my horizons. I like, what did I say? I like Belgian
Yes.
beers, triples and doubles,
And what was-
wheat beers.
And you had a Belgian quad, barrel-aged quad.
Oh yeah, at Fishman's the other day I had a, aren't you contractually obligated to mention Fishman's?
No.
Yeah, apparently we are, because on every fucking episode we do mention that fish.
But I
Yeah.
did have a barrel-aged,
I mean, Brandon's also wearing
Quad.
a Fishman's
Yeah.
hoodie.
It's true.
I had a
And
barrel-aged
we have
quad there the other day. It
Fishman's.
was really good.
Which
Yeah.
quad was it?
I don't remember.
Quadrigo?
I'll have to look it up.
I don't remember. Oh yeah, it was the Lake Effect
Was
one?
it the Lake Effect?
No.
Because that one was pretty damn good. I like that one. Well, in any case, you brought up. We talked about why you liked Bourbon County. I talked about why I like Bourbon County. You've talked about. I'm pointing at Brandon. Why you like Bourbon County. It comes to Emil before we get to you, Eric.
Yes.
About why you like Bourbon County. Emil, what's your history with Goose Island's Bourbon County brand stout?
I mean, it's for a lot of the same reasons everybody likes Bourbon County. It's just such a wonderfully balanced, chocolately, big beer. It's got a really high ABV, so obviously that's good, right? Let's not kid ourselves,
alcoholic.
right? Yes, yeah, alcohol is good, but it's masked really well, and it's complex and it's rich and it's velvety. It's just all these wonderful things that kind of make it really tasty. And again, like boozy, but also really, really approachable. And I just kind of like all the, complexity that's found in it. I mean, it was one of those beers that made me want to learn more about how to make beer as opposed to just, drinking and, just getting, fucked up with my buddies, more or less.
When was the first time you've had Bourbon County?
I think the first time ever was probably 2010, 2009 or 2010 or something. It was like a bomber that my buddies picked up off a shelf and had.
I thought you were gonna say street. Buddies picked it off the street and try this.
Didn't really know much about it, and just cracked it open and found it to be just absolutely wonderful. So.
Now, Eric, shut up, Emil. Eric, you were. You were.
Good segue.
Right?
Good segue there.
Emil, shut up. Eric, now you work for Goose Island in the Barrel Warehouse. What was your first experience with Bourbon County? I'm assuming it's not at Goose Island. Was it beforehand? Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely before that. My first experience with Bourbon County kind of ties in just my first experience with like craft beer as a whole, honestly. My first Bourbon County I ever had was back in 2015 when it was like still a solid amount of the good dates for the regular ones were at their absolute prime.
Oh, wow.
But that's kind of even... It's going to make me sound really young after him.
The fact that you said the first time you had it was 2015, I was like, oh.
The first time I had it was 1988. I stole a bottle from my dad in the basement.
Me and my friends were in my basement.
Goose Island was around.
We invented the Goose Island right in the basement with my dad.
Oh, shit. But yeah, that's around when I started even drinking craft beer in general, honestly.
Okay.
It was back in like 2015. I was like a sophomore in college, and I was just playing World of Warcraft all day and all night whenever I came back to visit from the summers. And I was in college, so all I slammed was fucking PBR and High Life and just, doing all those.
You drink what you can afford.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. And I didn't have a problem with it. Anyways, I'd come back in the summers, and my brother he was pretty big into beer, like just starting out, and he would just throw all these special beers at me, and I would just sip it and be like, it's okay. And just push it aside, keep sipping like my natty and just playing some World of Warcraft.
That's like when I give my dad craft beer. He's like, yeah, that's okay. And then he goes back to his Busch Light.
Basically, that was me, just pushing every beer aside. And then one day he handed me a Bourbon County one day, and I didn't actually push it aside. I press pause, and you don't really press pause in a game like World of Warcraft. You can't. There's no fucking pause button. I had to stop. I was like, hold on. I took my headset off. I was like, okay, what the fuck is this? He's like, that's a beer. I was like, all right. Right.
I feel like everybody had like an aha moment the first time they tried Bourbon County.
I wish mine was more. I wish it weren't as stupid as just going to the liquor store and finding something on it.
I looked out,
but I mean that's still a good way. You're expanding. You don't know what it is really. You never had it. See it on the shelf and buy it.
Yours and Pat, yours is at 312 Day, right?
At a 312 block.
Yeah, the block party, yeah.
And I wasn't so sure about it the first time I had it. I was like, this is weird. And then I took a few more sips. I think people actually gave me their beer because they were like, we don't like this. And I'm like, took a few sips and I was like intrigued. And then by the end of the night, I'm like, okay, maybe this is my new favorite beer.
So you kept drinking it? And
Probably.
Yeah.
It's.
Has that effect.
I think I have pictures from that night too.
For the beer.
I love this beer.
Well, because that was the same 312 night that I think it was one of the first ones that they had, one of the first block parties, and I had gone back there and one of the beer reps that worked.
How long ago was that?
Do we think that was 2014 or 20?
No,
it's got to be earlier than that.
It was like it was 12 or 13.
We discussed this on the first episode.
Yeah. But I remember I got the wristband. We went back there and we were coming out with that stuff, and just passing it out to people. And then I'd go back and John Hall was hanging out in the back, old John Hall was. We go back there and he's like, "Oh, you want another one?" I'm like, "Okay." He just kept handing them to me.
You're not gonna say no to John Hall when he hands you a
sounds like him,
Yeah.
Well, since while we're talking about, you've already finished yours, Eric.
Yeah,
I was gonna try. It's good. Emil, you brought over a plethora of Bourbon counties, and
it's a good description.
we have technically we have a vertical minus 2015 because we weren't sure if we had a good bottle.
Right.
Minus my first Bourbon County I've ever had.
Yeah, you've had that already. We didn't remember.
Yeah, we didn't want to bring back those nice memories that you had. But we are having the 2013, and before we started, we were all talking. I heard you guys talking about how much you liked it. I think I said this when we tried recording with the three of us that Bourbon County, or maybe I said on another podcast. I don't know. We drink on these a lot, so I don't remember. Bourbon County is one of the only barrel-aged beers that I've had that can sit, like it says on the bottle, can age up to 5 years.
Yeah.
It's one of the few barrel-aged beers that I've had gone back repeatedly, and it's been great. I've never had one where I was like, ugh, gross.
Right.
Yeah, this one went, or this one, this one's going bad. The other Ron, who's in our group, he had a case of 2012s. We were doing the French press with it, and we had some of it without it. We're looking at 6 years at that point, and it's still holding up.
Yeah, almost 7.
Yeah.
What years did we? I was gonna say for Pat, what years did we go through?
2013 through today. I think we had at least one from every year since 2013. Those are the oldest ones I had. But I feel like this is maybe the smoothest one I've ever had. I had some 2013s, but I'm pretty positive that they weren't stored exactly the way they should be stored. But I assume these were stored a little better, and this is
Emil has a
maybe
pretty great cellar that needs no temperature control.
Yeah, no,
yeah, it needs to purge.
I've been lucky twice.
Yes.
Let's dig into it.
Clear the cellar.
But I also feel like, I mean, when we first poured this and I sipped it, like, it still has some heat to it. Like,
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I got a little bit of just a little bit of the initial like oxygen has hit it for the first moment, sort of like a little bit of a metallic-y flavor, but within probably a minute or two, it was gone.
oh yeah,
and then
that really opened up.
Yeah.
and it completely opened up, and all you have is just this beautiful like rich chocolatey brew, and you're right. I mean, there's very little booze heat on it now. It's totally different. I'm positive we will see the changes over time as we get closer.
And so
to the most recent one.
And not to cut you off, I apologize. This is an interesting experiment because most of those he's been cellaring.
Right.
So having them all like, not to say that when we were at Pat's house, like he had all of his, he pulls them out of the fridge and everything like that. They were good, But even Pat said, he's like, I don't know what I did with them half the time. So, they've been sitting around for a while. So knowing, Emil and how he's focused on beer,
There's a little more of a control on this.
So it's an even control, and let's see how that progression goes.
Well, other than the 2017 that I picked up today, sitting on a shelf at a liquor store. That's the oddball out in that coffee. Which
and if I know math correctly, I'd say the next one in the lineup would be 2014.
Correct.
Oh,
Wow.
Are we all ready?
Yeah.
So we're
This
ready.
guy knows math.
I'll go
Yeah,
back.
we-
Grab it.
it's not going to take
Is the bottle opener up there?
very long to get through it.
No, there
Yeah.
should be. Yeah.
It's like a plane. It's like a plane.
I got you. There you go.
So, and kind of while we're doing this, and when you buy Bourbon County, do you ever look? And this is a question to Pat. Do you look for like the variants, like the prop or the coffee?
Yeah, for sure.
Out of the variants that you think you've had, which one would you say would have been is your favorite? Like
The coffee, for sure.
yeah.
Do you know which year of the coffee? You mean?
No, like I didn't realize till you were talking earlier. I know like I've seen like where the coffee comes from and
Yeah.
like what what company it's coming from in different years, but I didn't realize that like every year all coffee, like every year, like every coffee BCS from 2016 is the same coffee, the same kind of coffee that goes into it, and every one from 2015 and 14 the same thing.
Yeah.
Right, so I couldn't say. I do remember really liking I still had a bunch of 2014. I still had a bunch of 2014 coffee.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever had the coffee. I think the first time I ever bought it in the stores. But like, I think that's my favorite one every year. Obviously,
Yeah.
the prop changes.
There-
The
Son of a
variety
bitch.
changes a lot more every year.
But there's a lot of people like that though that really just love the coffee. And I know people that like Bourbon County coffee and not regular Bourbon County because of the coffee.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a coffee drinker,
But there's like, what do they do every year? Is vanilla? every
No.
year? This is.
I wish vanilla was every
Maybe,
year.
actually, this would be interesting. Eric, maybe you can give us a little bit of the history of how the coffee came into Bourbon County and kind of what has been.
well, they took the coffee and put it in.
Brandon.
I think it's just a matter of like they happen to be so close to intelligentsia, like they're so close to each other just geographically.
Yeah.
And that's where you just get the idea. I guess when you're driving to the brewery every day for work and you pass by a coffee place, you're like, oh, we're making a big robust stout.
I'm
What
sure
else
they're-
do we like that's dark and
And I'm sure
coffee.
they were probably drinking a good amount of coffee.
Yeah.
And smelling it. I smell
Jacked up
coffee.
on coffee
I smell
while you're
beer.
burning.
Are you jacked up
Yeah.
on a lot of coffee?
Oh,
when you're-
absolutely. Yeah, it's like
Are you jacked up on a lot of coffee right now?
yeah, we had like a coffee shortage at the warehouse like a month ago. It took like 2 weeks to get our delivery in, and we were all fucking going nuts.
Oh
And
man.
we were all arguing with each other, and pissed at each other, yelling at barrels and stuff. It does something to you. It changes you for the worse.
That's hilarious.
I'm a different man.
How long has Goose Island been at Fulton and Wood?
I think forever, right?
For production
That's
or
mostly
for
where-
Oh, for
mostly
production,
the
yeah.
tap room
Production is.
itself. No, I mean it's different for each one. For production and like the tap room in general.
How long is
No, the production, yeah.
For the production, I'm pretty sure it's been there since like 2000 and I don't know, 11 maybe. Nobody quote me on that.
Intelligence.
It's a test.
I actually have
That
no
was a
clue.
test.
It's gotta be older than that. I'm positive it's older than
You think
that.
so?
Yeah.
Let's Google this.
Finally, we're
If
actually
only we
gonna,
had someone that worked there.
we're
you know?
actually going to
I
use
think-
Google.
Yeah, if only we had somebody that worked there that knew what they were talking
That'd
about.
be really convenient.
I feel like there have been a couple
Well,
episodes that we've done where we could have used Google and we didn't. It was on the New England IPA episode. Someone should have Googled.
And then there's the Barrel Warehouse that's near
Yes.
the Garfield Park.
That one is new.
Well,
That
yes,
one's
yes.
new.
No,
in
I'm not
Sacramento.
claiming that's.
Yeah.
that one
like
is
across
awesome.
the street from the tap room, there's a whole that building
Yeah.
full of barrels that I've been inside, but that's not the barrel.
That used to be the
warehouse.
Barrel Warehouse.
And they had to get
And they needed
expand.
more.
There was a
Yes.
massive.
So now
yeah,
it's at
crazy.
Sacramento and whatever it is, like Lake Street or whatever.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
north
it's
of
by
it.
right down the street from the Garfield Park, if I remember correctly. It's not too far from there.
I'd be willing to bet you guys that Fulton Wood was like 93 or 94 or something like that.
Well, when did the real question would be when did they start production?
There
Like,
it is.
You know.
Kidding,
Oh,
I
that-
knew it the whole time. It's 1995.
Oh, yeah, that is what you said.
Yeah.
That is what you said. What
I
I'll
know.
do is I'll go back and just slice it.
tap room
I believe
is
it was
like brand new.
1995.
Yeah, there you go. I was testing you guys. I want to see how much studying you did before, you know.
Phil,
I was with
sorry.
them
Doing
2
podcasts and
years.
everything.
I actually do have a question. And we had talked, me, you. I'm pointing at Pat and Brandon. The three of us, we talked about this. When was the first time that Bourbon County was made? What year?
1992.
It is
The
92?
First time
Okay.
that Greg Hall made it. Because it was at like a bourbon and whiskey tasting dinner with Booker Noah, and they became friends. And then they got talking about beer and whiskey. And then he's like, give me a barrel. And he said, okay. He gave him a barrel, and he put beer in it. And then boom, Bourbon County.
No, it was released that year too?
It was released in
think on the-
95.
95 was-
at
okay.
At GABF.
Yeah,
So-
what-
the bottles
There
for
you go.
one thing. And then,
Yeah. That
So-
was the discrepancy. That's why it comes up all the time because the older bottles say since whatever, the newer bottles don't say since, because people were
1992.
complaining. So,
they're
90
going off, because it was
90
made for their
but people were complaining based on
20
like the first time they did it or the
100
first time
it was for their
100.
1,000th batch of
1,000th.
beer.
So-
Yeah, 1,000th batch of beer ever made. That's why talking about release date is kind of hard because
Yeah.
it's made in 92 but then didn't really make a big public appearance
Till
until
95.
1995 at the GABF.
Okay.
But that's the same
But
thing.
they got
when you-
disqualified.
So I was in 7th
Why did it
grade.
get disqualified?
So I brought it over there and I got disqualified because it was entered under Russian Imperial Stout category. But all the judges tried it and they're like, the fuck is this? Why does this taste like bourbon? And why am I fucking hammered? And then he realized that this is like a beer that's completely different from everything else. And then they told them,
They
like,
had to
oh, we
change
aged
the
this shit in a
rules to
bourbon
fit.
barrel. And so it was like not true to style. So boom.
That is
disqualified.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is a great. I did
Fucking
not know
nuts, I
that's how
know.
it happened. That's hilarious.
That blows
Yeah.
my mind.
It's like the Will Chamberlain of beers or something.
It was something that had never
That was
been done
good.
before that completely changed the way everyone did everything going
Yeah,
forward.
it's true. It
Barely-
shows, like,
There's no such thing as a barrel aged beer without this beer.
That's
in my
right.
Yeah,
opinion, in this
we're-
country.
barrel aged stout.
A barrel aged stout in this country.
For
Yeah.
sure. Isn't that fact?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that
As much as we all know.
yeah.
As much as anyone knows.
Yeah,
So I
that's
guess it is
I
a
mean,
fact.
who knows what somebody
That's how
did.
it works.
This whole like cottage industry, like it's kind of mind blowing. The whole thing's like 30 years old. I mean, it's relative to, everywhere you go around the world, there's some light Pilsner beer in
Right.
every single culture, brewed by some kind of a Czechoslovakian or German immigrant who was probably there on some kind of a religious mission.
This is getting very specific.
No, it's
that's
true.
good.
It's that is how. That's why you can go to you can go to Thailand and you can get the exact same beer that you can get in Mexico. That you can go to Ecuador and get the same one. That you can go to. It's all the exact
Yeah.
same beer. You can
Yes.
go to China and get a Sing Sing, which is the same thing as a Tiger beer from Thailand. It's all the same beer, and this stuff is relatively new.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievably crazy and just.
Came right out of our own backyard.
And
here in
in our own
Chicago,
backyard.
too.
Yeah, that's
You know?
awesome.
It's
Kinda
crazy
crazy.
to believe.
It's
And
not-
it's mind blowing that it got disqualified at the Great American Beer Fest for being too extreme.
What I like about it is that I was in the 7th grade when this was released. If that says anything about my
was 2.
age, Eric.
He was not born.
I was 2 years old.
He was not.
You were not.
I was 2. I was
I
2.
was a fetus.
I was at least 2.
You're a fetus.
I was at least
guys.
2 years old. I
You
swear
were a
to God.
sperm. Eric was a sperm everywhere.
Yeah.
So we went straight to 2014. And I'm going to say 2014 Bourbon County is what we're drinking. I'm going to say this one to me is a little fudgier, right? Like I get more chocolate on this. And
This
that's,
one does have big.
I
Dark
love that.
chocolate?
Dark
Yeah.
chocolate
Dark
type
chocolate.
of characteristics.
When I say
coming in.
fudgy, I'm sorry. I mean like you have like a really good like dark chocolate fudge brownie. I'm saying this and I'm gritting my teeth because I love
Why
them.
are you so angry?
I want one right now.
It's so good that he's mad.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, why don't I have one? Do you remember when we went to the Great American Beer Fest? Forget what that stout. This is the only beer I went back for twice. That I was like, oh my god, this tastes like hot fudge. Yeah, he'll look that up. It was awesome. It was from some California brewery. I have to remember. It begins with an X. Not the brewery, but the beer begins with an X. That's what I remember. It tasted like hot fudge, and this kind of reminds me of that, like dark chocolate fudgy, like Ghirardelli brownie. If you had one of those, no complaints here. This is delicious.
Let's get a lot of. I get a lot of sort of like not stone fruit, but like dried fruit.
It's like
dark
fruit kind of licorice characteristic coming
exactly
through.
Right. Yep. Much more than on the 13. It's very surprising, and this one's got a little bit more heat too.
Fellowship of Zool
by
Modern Times.
Oh, Modern Times. Pretty much everything that Modern Times makes is unbelievable.
It was amazing. Out of all the
try Monster Tones.
It was my first time. It was our first time at the Great American Beer Fest. And that was the only beer I went back and had more than once.
Oh, yeah.
It was amazing.
No,
I remember an X being in there.
The pastry boys love it.
Goddamn pastry boys.
Yeah, they're all over Modern Times. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense with a beer like that. I mean, all this stuff was in there, and all I tasted was like hot fudge. Like you were drinking carbonated hot fudge. It was amazing. But that's not why we're here. We're here about Bourbon County, and I've already killed that one. You guys are still working on it. Sorry.
I find this one I find it vastly different than the 2013.
I agree.
There's a like you guys mentioned the like dark fruit, and I said dark chocolate hot fudge, the fudge brownie. I'm trying to place what. Now they're blended. Bourbon County's blended. It's blended from different barrels.
Take all the barrels and just throw them in.
Now is it blended different barrels each year? Is different like
different kinds of barrels.
Different kinds of barrels. Thank you. Yeah.
So different brands of bourbon that it came from.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It can range from like Wild Turkey to just Elijah Craig to anything from Heaven Hill to pretty much anything.
Wow. So that also, I mean, obviously maybe not obvious for everybody. The alcohol is always different per year as well. So obviously we're gonna get different flavors in it. It's kind of nice to know that there's not like one set. There's an expectation from Bourbon County, but there's no like set like okay, there's gonna be this type of flavor every year that I have it. So every time you have it, you kind of know what you're gonna get as far as that like the base recipe. But those barrels really do impart so much more into it.
That's what I was gonna say. The difference between the two, we just have like there's so many similarities between it, but also like I think the biggest thing that varies is just the barrel presence. It comes in different ways. Where one year might taste like a lot of barrel char type of roastiness coming through. Another one might taste like straight bourbon vanilla coming through and different notes of it all, which is kind of nice. That's what like that blending technique gives you. Where one barrel might be lacking in one of those characteristics, the other 20 of them have it. Like crazy. So.
Do you how closely with the barrel projects do you work with actual Bourbon County? Like you're there, the forefront. You're there on the line.
It and filling it.
Yeah. So do you get
it in the barrel,
so you get to taste the individual barals?
Oh, absolutely.
Man, that's so cool.
A couple months in, and we see how they are and how they should.
You guys hiring interns?
To me, that would be the most.
You're gonna give it all
fun of that is being able to try I think that would be a fun thing to do. Goose on, you're listening. To do even just a tapping of just the individual barrels to see where. Give a year, like say 2020. Here is the blended batch, but also here are where the different barrels come from.
Right.
That would be pretty cool to try out.
I think just right off the top of my head, that'd be annoying just to separate.
I'm sure.
No.
I'm sure.
So we stack them and store them all throughout the warehouse, so we have to grab the forklift and dig like halfway through one.
You guys are the only ones.
And just...
Yeah. So you guys are the only ones who get to have that fun.
I may be wrong though.
Sorry.
I may be wrong about this. I don't exactly remember what we tried, but I thought that Goose had done a class that where you go to the barrel warehouse and they take you through and you walk through the whole warehouse, and at different stations they have like different doneness of Bourbon
Oh
County.
yeah. They still actively do that. It's all those bastards in my production space, like throughout the day.
Okay,
I
so
hate
they
it.
are. It's like,
No, it looks fun though.
And
It looks really
pay
fun.
like
Engaging.
you buy like a $50
They
ticket.
just look
and
at you weird,
and
like
you
you're
can
a
try
zoo
like
animal.
2-month-old Bourbon County, and you can try like 6-month-old Bourbon County, and 9-month-old
Right.
Bourbon County, and then some variants as well.
Yeah.
And then you go back to the beautiful, like, I don't know, looks like the inside of a medieval castle.
The event space?
Dining in.
The event- yeah,
space,
the event space.
And
You talking about the actual barrel warehouse?
Yeah, the actual.
Is it-
barrel-
that's
what-
I
that's
think
where you were
I
getting
was
at.
on one of those. I think I went on one of
I
those
slept there a
tours.
few
It was
times.
really cool. It's like a 2.5 hour.
Have you ever been to the
3-hour
actual
tour,
barrel
and then you go
warehouse?
back and just hang out and you drink.
saying
And I think
one
we may
bag
have
I
like
feel
French
hard?
press some.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
That's
have
awesome.
all those.
It's like it's a really cool class. If you guys have never been, you should actually look into it. It's really fun. It's very interactive. You get drunk.
That's pretty
He's like,
interactive.
if there's nothing
There's
else,
food,
you
yeah,
get
so
drunk
you
at
get some
least.
cheese. I think
What
you
we
get some.
should have
I get
done
you-
is done
I
this
love
contest
cheese.
at
Artisanal
the barrel
cheeses.
warehouse.
Fuck
Yeah, we should have done this at the barrel warehouse.
Should have done it there.
In a barrel.
in a
Slap this
barrel.
in.
Next time.
Is there good acoustics at barrel
Shameless plug.
warehouses?
Yeah, for sure.
I think
Probably,
we
right?
need a self-driving Tesla though to get us there.
On our way.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So we did
You have to raise a lot
two.
of funds. To
We
get
got
that.
3 more. We can get another one before we take a break. How's that?
Let's do it. Yeah,
Yeah, we
2016.
should do so. For everybody, we're
Get the bottle opener.
we're skipping 2015.
I'm just gonna point and you grab.
We don't know what's good and what's bad.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, there was a problem with some bacteria that got into those bottles in 2015, rendering and this was pre pasteurization. Now going forward after that year, all Goose Island, all Bourbon County bottles, I think maybe all beer bottles might be flash pasteurized. But because of that, the bacteria is able to live in some of the bottles, and as a result, some of the beers went bad and kind of soured up a little bit. And so we don't have its 15 because we're not sure what is good and what's not.
There's bigger pours because it's the bigger bottle.
I like it. I'm not complaining.
Actually, there's 2 points. Sorry, it's not like you were about to say something. There's 2 things I wanted to hit on real quick. Number 1, I've had an infected bottle of regular, and it was not terrible.
We did.
Yeah, I had it with you, Brandon. It was delicious. I may have gone too heavy on that pour. You and I are gonna share. And it actually just nope, that was good. It added like a berry note to it, and that was pretty much it. Second thing, so if anybody has those, don't be afraid. Drink those. They're not bad. And Emil, you have some. We were talking about doing barbecue sauce.
Well, they may
Right.
or may not be. Like, there's
Right.
so much variance,
Yeah.
so many
Some could
things
be
that come
really
into
bad.
play with the rate
sure.
at which that bacteria can grow and evolve.
The ones-
Storage, how it was capped,
Yeah.
how it was packaged, pretty much everything.
Basically,
comes into
don't be
play there.
afraid of trying it. Give it a try because you might have something that is pretty tasty.
And it's not going to kill you.
Cook with
No.
it if anything's wrong. with
Right.
it,
And that's what we were saying. We want to do a barbecue
Nothing
sauce.
like harmful to humans can really survive inside
for sure.
beer as well. So even
It's-
if
it's like
nasty,
yogurt
just
bacteria,
chug
right?
it. Yeah, don't be scared.
It's just, isn't it just
Don't be
yogurt,
scared.
yogurt
Some good
bacteria?
probiotics.
Yeah, no, I
Uh,
honestly I think it's like
a certain strain of lactobacillus.
Lactobacillus,
It's like
yeah.
lactobacillus.
It's just yogurt culture.
So when are they coming out with Bourbon County Chobani?
Ooh.
We got
Sounds
someone in the
right.
East Lab that might be interested.
So
in
they
that.
have-
The guy in the East Lab
So
that lives
have
off
you guys
of
ever
fucking
had
Chobani.
Have you
What
guys
up,
ever had
East
the
Lab?
brown cow yogurt with the cream top on it?
No.
Oh man, that's good stuff. Anyway, there's this I don't know. It's this. You know how there was a period of time where everyone wanted to remove the fat out of all the food, and now like having lots of fat in food is cool again.
Apparently it was the 80s.
Way to go,
fat
keto
was bad in
eugenics.
the
Yeah,
80s.
fat was bad, and now fat is good. Now fat isn't like everything. Eat lots of fat, eat nuts and avocados and olive oil and everything that was fat.
About
So
it.
this yogurt company went out and like said, screw it, we're gonna make a full flavored yogurt. It's fucking delicious, and it has this like layer of.
Did you just edit yourself? Did you just cut out
I think I
fucking?
did.
Nice. So that's okay.
Think
Yeah.
I
Oh,
did.
bad words are bad?
Yeah. That was our
Yeah,
best.
it's-
I won't use
Although,
Fucking A, man.
bad
Say whatever the
words,
fucking
yeah.
shit you want to say.
fuck these bad words.
but they have a coffee flavored yogurt that has this like congealed coffee in the bottom with yogurt on top, and then this beautiful cream top. It's just this perfect, like maybe 1/4-inch thick layer of cream on top, and if you get all of it in one scoop, it is incredible.
This isn't about beer anymore.
I like how much
No,
time you. And I'm not going to take
I
that out.
just had one this morning.
With
It's
this brown
about
cow.
Emil
brown,
not
it's called
having
brown
eaten
cow with a
it
cream top.
recently.
The coffee flavored one
This
is incredible.
episode
But
brought to you
now
by-
I'm bringing it full circle, guys.
Okay,
Come
I'm
on,
waiting.
come on,
Sponsored
guys.
by
Bring it.
Chobani.
Welcome to the Yogurt Podcast. Next week we will have a special guest, John Stamos, to talk about yogurt.
Greek yogurt.
Thank you, Emil.
If they had a Bourbon County flavored yogurt,
Oh, that's where
that
he's
would
getting.
be amazing in the bottom there, because I know what the coffee flavored one tastes like, and they're not that far apart. So there you go.
I mean, in theory, if you make your own
man.
yogurt, you could probably attempt to that.
I love it.
Mike makes his own yogurt. Mike does. Oh,
No,
yeah.
he does not.
He does, yeah. It's
Mike?
good. He's the other guy in our brew club, my brother-in-law.
okay.
Why'd you say guy in brew club first and
Yeah, that's
not
kind of
brother?
mean. You don't acknowledge him as your brother. It's like if I have to
He's a guy in
really
my brew club.
specify,
Also, brother-in-law.
then I will. I'm the same way with mine, so don't worry about it.
You know, on a
If
good
for
day,
some
my
reason
brother.
there was a divorce somewhere, the brew
he
club
gone.
would still stay intact.
Oh,
for
that's
sure.
that's
Yeah, yeah.
that's
We've got
very good
priorities
point,
to
Brandon.
go.
Brew club, also brother-in-law.
Same with me and my
Brew
brother.
club first, yeah. The second thing that I wanted to bring up before Emil went on his nice expedition of yogurt.
Yes.
Some people have said that because of pasteurization, it's going to kill any character for aging a beer, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Okay, great. I
Like,
just wanted to clear that up with someone who actually works at Goose.
yeah.
You
Well, I
can
mean,
finish
just thinking about it, even not as a brewer or not as a scientist, beer,
It's
you know,
common
however
sense.
you cut it, is like a living thing. You know, it's constantly changing depending on levels of oxidation, the way the flavors will meld over time. Doesn't matter what you do to like kill off certain wild yeast or bacteria that might be in suspension. There's so many other things that come into play, just with aging, just with anything else. Think of things that don't have wild yeast and significant levels of bacteria in them. They still change over
Thank
time.
you.
know,
Yes,
think of, like,
exactly.
anything.
Exactly. Yeah, I just think it's funny when people are like, ever since they pasteurize it, you can't age it. Nothing's going to change. Really, man? Like, you can keep anything anything you store for a long time, maybe except for spirits. This is
Yeah.
weird. Like,
You take your
spirits in a
pasteurized
bottle.
yogurt and hold
I
on to it
was-
for 20 years and let me know what happens to it.
Yeah.
Something's going to change.
Tasty.
Milk is pasteurized too, and that still goes bad.
After you open it.
Well, yeah, true.
Oh.
No!
Wait, you could keep milk closed for... and it would be fine?
We're getting really heavy in the dairy
There's
part of
only,
this.
there's
fucking
only
episode.
one
This
way- there's
podcast
only
sponsored
one
by
way
the
to
future
find out.
farmers of America and dairy farmers everywhere.
Jesus
Shout out
Christ.
to cows all over the world.
You know what? Before we even get
Do they make Bourbon County cows?
We're working on it, actually, R&D side of it. We don't really like to talk about it.
Oh my god.
They feed them pieces of barrel.
Oh shit. What is you know
Keto,
what?
be honest.
What does everybody think of the
Yeah,
2000?
can I talk about this beer?
Yes,
Yeah,
you can.
So they're all getting, they get hotter every year, yeah? For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And that's
Definitely.
As we're going down the line, for sure. Yeah, I'll agree with you. Also, Pat, I almost want you on every episode. I just really love when you interject when you said, "Hey, it's me, Pat," and then just now like, "Hey, can I talk? Can I talk about this?" You do that on the party, and
Pat's
it's
kind of
great,
like
man.
David
I love
Putty
it.
from Seinfeld.
That's it.
Party.
All right.
I don't know if I'm gonna go with Putty. I see what you're saying, but I'm not going with Putty.
No.
Pat's Pat, and I love that.
You know, I've never seen
Pat,
Pat,
is
I love
Pat
that.
also Norm McDonald?
Pat has been likened to Norm MacDonald.
I used to Norm Macdonald,
That's the
yeah.
traditional.
The,
You got the look for the Norm McDonald, but I think you got the personality of David Putty.
the deja vu
You just have
moment
to
was Pat
squint your
was
eyes a
at
little bit more.
when we went to Norm MacDonald, and I was sitting next to Pat and like looking up at the stage and then looking at Pat. And then the stage, looking at
Brothers. All right. We're gonna take a break real quick. We're already halfway through where I thought we were gonna
We're
be.
being pretty goofy.
This is great. Well, I mean, if we didn't have a 20-minute talk about dairy, you crazy bastard.
It all made sense. I mean, it was a natural progression from
think it could've just been,
lactobacillus
like,
to yogurt.
Condense a little better.
Or do you want to talk about condensed milk?
I'm
now?
very-
Oh, you see what I just
As a
did?
matter of fact, I just was at this Vietnamese restaurant.
Son of a
He's got me
bitch.
talking about it now.
Ooh, we'll be right back.
just coming out of nowhere.
Yeah,
he's
he
yelling
control
at me.
it. Well, we're back, and that was a good break. It was a solid break. And during the break, we had some conversations I wish we would have recorded, but that's okay because we've moved on to the 2017. We didn't really talk much about the 16. We kind of got a little bit into it. The 16 was solid, and Emil, you brought up.
Pat had probably
tried to talk about it.
Yeah, he had the most to say probably.
Thanks,
about
Pat.
it.
That's right. You did.
We're
You did.
sorry,
You know what?
Pat.
Fuck you, Emil. You didn't say shit about 16.
Yeah.
You did, Pat.
Well, and it was a good point though that they're progressively getting hotter. Like the booze is coming out more in each one.
I'm spilling.
Yeah, I don't know about this one.
See,
No.
well, that's a good thing.
I felt so we're on the 2017, and I do feel like I got some heat on it. And right before we started recording, Eric and I were talking. Eric, you mentioned this was definitely more like a dark fruit flavor.
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
I definitely get like more of a dark fruit tannic type of characteristic coming
100%.
in.
Yeah,
Probably
and I'm still.
barrels.
And what I was gonna say is I'm still getting heat off it, but I don't know if it's necessarily like
Yeah, I
hotter
don't
than
know if it's peaked at
much
2016.
hotter than the 2016.
Right.
Yeah, you might be
Do
right.
we have
on
the
that.
ABVs? So the 2016's ABV is
It's on the bottom.
13.8,
Yeah, and this is 14.7.
which is actually
Yeah. Just because the
13.8 was
numbers
the
are
same
different,
as the
though,
14.
it doesn't mean you're always going to taste like a significant amount of
Yeah,
for sure.
ethanol
that's a
burn
minimal.
from one year versus another. There's so many other factors that come into play with that.
Oh, it says to enjoy in a snifter, and well, I don't have a snifter. All I have are Brandon's stolen Goose Island glasses.
Oh, no.
Anyway, yeah, the 17 definitely is more of a. It's got that dark fruit characteristic. And you brought up something during the break. You were talking about the yeast. Can you go back to that? We were saying like.
Something about the different yeast used for it.
Yeah, because you're saying this. Yeah.
Never
So
go
it
back.
is just kind of, it's always just house yeast, which is basically every single brewery has their specific brand of house yeast. But for something as heavy as something as with so much sugar just comes out of the mash and everything like that, as something like Bourbon County Brand Stout, you need like almost fortified yeast, something that's just ready to fight, ready to eat at things. That's just the best way to summarize it. But anyways, we'll take like, I don't know, it could be leftover yeast from a batch of like Old Mac Grumpy or some other beer that we produce a lot, and just kind of like have that propagated separately, just kind of, like any home brewer that like wants to propagate their yeast and kind of save on that and stuff like that. Whatever.
That's awesome. Brandon pointed out there might be a little dribble on the computer.
There's a condom on here, so we're good.
Perfect. Brandon's
Keyboard
got
condom.
Keyboard condom. We'll wipe that up in a
Best way
second.
to wrap up your keyboard.
I was at the
I forgot what I was going to say. Should we start over?
No, it's all right.
No, I think
No, you covered it. You got
I'll
it.
explain it again.
Yeah.
No, I don't
No,
think
okay.
I explained this there.
Here we go.
May I summarize? May I summarize for you?
No,
okay.
let's
All right,
Eric.
let's
Let's
talk.
Eric.
That's what I'm saying.
I could do it real quick.
All right. So
All right.
tell me about the yeast.
So yeah, a beer that's as high in sugars as Bourbon County is, with the mash and everything that comes with that, all the sugars you're pulling out of the grain, obviously. It's a lot of it, and it takes a big toll on the yeast, puts a big job on it. So we'll use like a decent mixed propagated blend of different yeast, different kinds of strains that'll come in. So you kind of want it to be strong right off the bat so it can get right to fermenting that. Otherwise, you face a lot of difficulties with that if you're just trying to, like, let's say if you're just home brewing a basic Russian Imperial Stout and you just throw it at the typical amount of yeast that you'll throw in, a typical kind that you'll use for like an APA or something like that. You're going to run a couple different problems. So you kind of want something that's like a little more aggressive that can handle that kind of sugar too.
I guess I never really realized that you guys were propagating yeast from like other batches, like you said, Old Man Grumpy before. All those different yeasts coming in together. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I thought maybe there was just like a house
Almost
blend
like making a
specifically
giant
for
starter in a
yeah.
way, you know?
I thought maybe there was just like a specific. Well, I guess it probably dies off, so no, that wouldn't make sense of using like just we're gonna reuse the Bourbon County yeast every
Specific
time.
Bourbon County.
Yeah,
That'd
yeah.
be cool.
I
Yeah.
don't think it dies off. It just stays dormant, right?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of alcohol that yeast has to get through, and eventually it's gonna get alcohol poisoning.
It'd be weird to just like put one specific yeast aside for
Yeah.
like a whole year.
This is the
and be
Bourbon
like,
County
yep,
yeast.
Nobody touch it.
You hang out right here, and we'll be back in a year.
Yeah. All right, what were you saying, buddy?
You were we were talking about the alcohol content, and I was at the Goose Island tap room one time,
Yeah.
and I didn't get a chance to try it, but I saw it listed a Bourbon County double barrel that was like 18.5 or 19%.
Oh yeah, that was a big
alcohol
boy
or
right
something.
there.
Do you know anything about that? Or?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know everything about that.
Double
Actually-
Barrel Bourbon County was just a batch of Bourbon County that got pulled out of the fresh bourbon barrel that it first, hung out inside of, and then put into another fresh bourbon barrel that it was inside of, and then.
I just peed about it. That noise.
I guess it's literally a simple explanation.
Yeah,
Double
yeah.
barrel.
Double barrel
I think
Bourbon
that's what
County.
she said.
Well, that's like Revolution did the VSOJ and then they did the double VSOJ or VSOD. Sorry, yeah, VSOD is the
DB.
Yeah,
DB VSOD.
yeah. Sorry,
That's
I'm mixing up.
a lot of initials.
I'm mixing up all the
DP.
letters. Yeah,
The
not
shocker?
the straight jacket, but the VSOD was the very special death, and they did the double one of that, and that one. Again, I go back to the chocolate and fudge. I had that at at Revolution when they did the Death Star Day, and that was awesome. That was really freaking good. And that's the end of the show. Thanks. We're done. Man, I didn't think it would be this hard. I didn't think it would be this hard to really carry on the conversation of drinking so much Bourbon County. And now I understand why with the party, the first part with the party that it ended.
Wait,
It
are we
just
actually
we were
done?
done. No. I'm just joking.
He's like, good. I mean, get me out of here.
This is
All right, he's like,
this
well,
is-
we're gonna do
this
the other
is-
beers.
This is one
Oh, let's
part.
talk about tacos. And
This is
make me hungry.
this is one part. Talking about beer. This is two parts. Trying to keep one's concentration.
It's tough.
Watching the degradation of this podcast as time rolls on.
Well,
we are how many bourbon counties in? 3 or 4?
Math is hard.
We have 4 bottles in.
Yeah.
We're 4 bottles in. Two 12-ounce
Only
bottles.
Only two to
And
go.
Yeah,
two
it's 2 to go.
16.9.
Oh, yeah.
We're at the end.
375
Oh, we're getting
milliliters
there.
Or
We're
500
getting-
milliliters.
For each one of those?
The
They're
big
500
ones.
milliliters,
500.
yeah.
So 2 500 milliliter
So
bottles.
many milliliters.
Two 12-ounce bottles. I'm
Two
not gonna
12?
do it.
Two 12-ounce bottles? Two 12?
I see what you did. Nice job.
Yeah. Well, Brandon's shaking his head now.
And there's 5 of us here.
Yeah. Oh, we're doing a pretty good job. And it's funny because it's
We're
not
just in that little goofy
it's
stage.
it's not like when we're doing the New England IPAs or pale ales or anything like that where it's easier to okay, well I'll finish that beer, we can move on to the next one.
Yeah.
You can't just. I mean, you can just slam the Bourbon County, and move on to the next one,
Yeah,
but
I'm just about done.
no, god damn it, Pat's
Yeah.
kicking ass
Do it,
right
Pat.
now.
Well, I mean, this is Pat's favorite beer, and that, it kind of spawned the whole episode, right?
Oh, Brandon's there too. Jeez, yeah, no, that is.
Pat, did you tell us? Pat told us the story of. Did he tell us before or after?
Was
we
that
started recording?
was that the party? Well,
How you? Yeah, the whole you'll in part 1 of this episode. It's
Are you
the
gonna-
whole
okay.
yeah. The whole thing is
My
we.
origin story.
Yeah,
origin
it's
story.
Pat's
Yeah.
origin story.
I feel like
How Pat
this
came
is,
to be
I
the
feel like
superhero
I'm
that he is.
watching, Infinity War, and
you
I
didn't have to
haven't
move.
watched the other 17 Marvel films.
And
before
this
that.
is technically Endgame.
This is
Endgame.
Okay. All right. I'm
Infinity War is what we did beforehand, and it's funny because we actually part 1 of this 2-part basically episode,
Saga?
a saga. Yes, the Bourbon County saga. We record. When did you have that party? Back in January?
It was a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, January.
January.
Yeah, in January, and here we are sitting in March, and
It was
that's how
snowing
long.
then.
Yeah, that's how long it took us to get to this. There's a lot to get us all back together to drink more Bourbon County. Wow. So there's been a lot of.
You would
episodes
think it
between-
wouldn't take that much.
Well, the original plan was that the Bourbon County episode, the Bourbon County Party episode, was supposed to be episode number 2, and actually, these 2 episodes together make up 5. We finally are at 5 and 6 technically. This being the end game of Bourbon County.
okay.
This is episode 6
That's
technically. So we back-to-back weeks. And Brandon just cracked open the 2018, which is the end of our.
religious experience.
How's it smell?
I mean, that one I got that one's fudgy when I smelt it.
Whoever smelled it dealt it, and then he's actually pouring it out for
Fudgy
everybody.
the whale.
That was a bad.
I wanted to
said-
throw in something about the heat that
Please.
Pat mentioned
Yeah, go ahead.
earlier. About how
Bring
he
it on
noticed,
back.
like, as the years went on, the heat kind of changed over time. Well, there's a lot of things that come into that in terms of just variance in general. Like, you can't just say, like, older year is going to have a different amount of heat just because it is older, or a different one is going to have a different amount just because it is newer. There are certain factors that come into play, even like the barrel side of things. Like, you got to think over time as like the company gets better and better at barrel aging. Maybe they'll only accept bourbon barrels that have had bourbon sitting in them for an even longer period of time than they did before. So maybe they will want it as more freshly dumped than it used to be freshly dumped. Maybe they'll want it having a decent puddle of bourbon sitting at the bottom of that barrel before they even let beer touch it. Because there'll be a lot of times where you just like see a barrel that looks kind of dry, or it didn't hold bourbon as long as you wanted it to have to, and you would have just been like, I don't want it because it's not as special anymore. You know, standards might have gotten a little different, the blend might have changed over time, so a lot of fun things that come in with that.
And that makes sense. And I have my fingers crossed here because I wanted to bring up the rare that had the barrels that were 35 years old.
Yeah,
you were there for that?
Yeah.
When they did that?
I wasn't there. I wasn't working there when they did it, but
Okay. So when they got those barrels, those barrels were dry, correct?
Yeah.
And then how did you guys?
What do you mean dry? Like they were empty of bourbon?
Yeah, empty,
completely?
completely, right?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know?
I wasn't
Okay.
around back then.
Oh, well.
That was back when I was
Anyways.
like freshman in college.
Oh, fucking Eric.
Way to do silly question.
Like,
that was-
I always
that
gotta
was-
throw it in
Right,
there.
no. All the
Because they're 35-year-old barrels. They
Yeah,
were 35-year-old
but
barrels. I
Goose
thought they
Island
were
won't
like
put-
dry.
Bourbon County
Dry.
in dry barrels.
Oh yeah,
So-
actually, so they might have been the bourbon was sitting in there for that long, but then you have to consider how recently it was dumped.
It was
That's
That's
what.
what
Okay,
it's
yeah.
referring to.
When I thought now
You
was
get
it
a
A dry,
dry
barrel
barrel
is
is
like
like
the
dry.
bourbon was dumped what, like 6
Yeah, it
months
was
ago. or
dumped
something?
exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Well, that was that's what I wasn't
Goose
sure
doesn't
of.
use them, right?
No.
Okay.
Only freshly dumped bourbon barrels is what
I'm gonna
they
have to go
use.
back and watch from
You
grain.
don't want something.
I'm gonna have to go
that's
back and
dry
watch
for
from
6
grain to
months.
glass. You
Grain,
can find
yeah,
that on
The good old
YouTube.
grain.
The good
Is it-
old
yeah.
grain-
yeah,
grain.
grit and grain. I call it grain
There
and
it is.
glass. That's
There's a
my
lot of
favorite.
cool
Close
banjo
enough.
in that.
I saw like
There is
4
banjo.
parts
It's
of
good
it.
banjo.
4 parts of the 20-part
Yeah.
I have that
series.
saved on my computer. It's like one of the open tabs on my.
That's a
But
constant reminder.
Are
to
you
do that.
limbo the whole
Are
time
you one of
though?
the guys who have 25 tabs?
Oh,
on?
that's me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you
On
guys
your
listen
phone-
to-
on my phone, I've got like 18.
If you
tabs.
guys listen to part 1 of this at the party, I've turned on his computer a couple times, and I apologize. I've seen all his porn.
Oh
it's
god.
just Bourbon County
you
porn.
leave the
What website do you use? Like what website? We all use different ones, you know.
It's just Goose. It's actually just
Everyone's
Goose
on-
Island.
Oh my god, I feel violated.
It's Goose porn.
That's where we knew Eric
I
from.
feel
He had
uncomfortable.
pictures of him on his computer.
I was hoping nobody would see that.
Boy in the Boots #1, I think, is what you're labeled as in there. This got weird.
I'm just having a
Go ahead and just edit
conversation.
them.
Yeah, no, I'm not taking that out at all. There are very few things I'll take out. The only thing I took out was
Like good scenes at least.
people. I don't know. Bring it up. Let's pause and take a look at those scenes. No, the only thing I ever
I
edited
saw
out
that.
was the one microphone that we had set up for the party. I don't know if it was you or somebody else actually chewing into the microphone with the chips, which was hilarious.
Someone was purposely.
Yeah.
Were they good chips? Like,
Yeah,
what
they were
kind
chips.
Of chips did he?
Oh, dude,
awesome.
You can hear it. You'll hear it guac. Well, people who
they
are
were
listening to
all
this.
Was it intentional?
Oh, yeah.
chew,
Yes.
Or like,
Yes.
it was like one of those where somebody just chews really slowly, like an asshole.
Got real close.
Somebody
Yeah.
thought we were doing an ASMR podcast, apparently.
ASMR keeps coming up in this.
Nobody.
I'm not
What
asking.
is ASMR?
Before February 5th, 2019, nobody knew what the fuck that was.
I don't know.
No one did
February
they care.
now.
February 5th is when it was.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden after that, now it's everywhere, baby.
Ooh, it's everywhere, baby. Is that your catch? You know what? That should be your catchphrase. It's everywhere, baby. And Brandon's is
What are we referring to?
coming at ya.
And
Brandon's.
yours is just rad.
Rad.
Everything's rad.
Everything's rad. Everything's been rad since I was born.
What are we drinking now?
2018. It's all over my
2018
fingers.
Bourbon County. That's what she said.
Okay.
All right.
Let's keep it. Don't go blue. Don't go blue.
All right.
Man.
I'm sorry.
Jesus Christ. Anyways,
Sorry, it was
here we are.
just- it was low-hanging fruit.
Hanging fruit. Speaking of hanging fruit, I'm getting more fruit and kind of a nice mix of fruit and chocolate on this.
Low hanging
blunt.
We
fruit.
got some fruit in here.
Yeah. What do you get on that,
A lot
Eric?
more booze on this. This tastes like...
Your name is not Eric.
Oh, I apologize.
This one actually got a solid amount of like brown sugar mixing in with a lot of like the ethanol heat that you would get out of the barrels.
Yes, it
And
tastes
this
like
one-
gasoline.
I wouldn't say it's like very dark fruit or licorice forward like a lot of the other ones might have been. This one actually, I know you get like a really solid amount of the actual base, like the actual grain bill coming in. Like if you ever made a just super basic Russian Imperial Stout at home and like took a pretty big whiff of it, you get like huge roast like right in your face, almost like toffee characteristic too coming in. Like not, I wouldn't say coffee.
wouldn't say-
people like mischaracterize them in a way.
You said toffee, and I get more. It's kind of the same idea, like caramelized sugar, which is, I mean, it's basically toffee, but
Yeah.
there's kind of a difference. You know, like creme brulee when you have that sugar on top, that
And they
you know,
scorch
like,
it, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I get from this, and I remember saying that when I had this when I first had it last November.
It's
I like Brandon's.
You ever
acting
make a
off.
stout that's heavy on like caramel 120 and that's like very caramel sweetness forward, but I think the
That's
barrel
what I
of
like.
it like lends caramel also, but in a different regard. That one lends it more in heat.
The barrel's
so it might
not-
have balanced it out. more towards
So,
being like.
can I stop with a brewer's note? You said
Sorry.
Caramel 120. Can
Sorry,
you explain
sorry.
what that is?
Yeah. Go ahead.
No.
Oh.
I was asking. I know what it is,
Somebody
but
explain it. I don't.
I thought it would be. We got a guy
Alright,
here.
So caramel, like Caramel Crystal, is a specialty malt that we would. That's how we would call it. It's definitely used. It's usually used in a very low percentage of certain malts, just kind of to accentuate a certain flavor coming through. And if you have it on a higher end of that spectrum, like it'll come in like just different increments of itself. But when you have it at a higher level, you have like more of the concentrated sweetness of that coming in.
So when a lot of our recipes that we've used, we use like caramel 60. Mm-hmm. So when you get like 120, is that just it's been roasted longer, so you get more of that sweetness out of there, or what's the difference, or how do they get the variation between the number? Do you know?
Oh yeah, it all comes with like kilning it and the different levels at which you'll let it germinate through, and there's different techniques for milling it and everything like that.
It's more roasted.
Not milling it, it's just like the different levels at which you'll be roasting it the entire time. That's like essentially where you get all the variants for it.
I've always said, I think I had said before, I don't know if it was one of the versions of this podcast that we actually got a good recording of, but I understand that it's really sweet, like all of them are really sweet, and I think maybe that's why I like the coffee, I like really sweet things, but I think for a lot of people, a really sweet beer is strange and like off-putting. But I think that's maybe why I like the coffee one the best, is that we'll see when we try that, but I think it is less sweet than
I would
Yeah,
agree.
you got to consider like the roast that comes with the actual coffee that's going into it, so it's more, it's more likely to kind of round out the sweetness with some of that roastiness from the coffee that you naturally get anyway. So that makes sense.
Not off topic, but kind of off topic. What was the name of? I don't know if it was a Bourbon County variation they did. Was basically with hazelnut. It's almost like a Nutella.
Nutulu.
Yeah. When I was
That's a thing?
it was. They had it. I think the
whale for
year
a
we
while.
were at Fobab,
What was
and
Cthulhu
like
made?
they literally just kept selling out of it.
I'm not too sure.
So
was there a
Wish
Cthulhu?
would've
There
known.
was.
it
was.
blew like right when we got there. Like people just ran in line for that, and then like I worked a shift, and I like literally I was standing there waiting. I was like, I'm gonna go get this beer, and I ran over there, and it was already gone. I was like,
Jesus. Bunch of jerks.
There was also Cthulhu.
yes.
What was
Cthulhu
that?
was the original.
was
We
Cthulhu?
don't know. We're looking it up now, but Cthulhu was. They were all made out of. They weren't made at Fulton Street. They were all made at
Clybourne. Cthulhu wasn't really a Bourbon County. It was more of an Imperial Oatmeal Stout.
Okay.
Asian
But was
18-year-old
Nutulu
Elijah
supposed-
Craig barrel.
yeah.
Oh, so it's very specific
Yeah,
to what
very
you're
specific.
yeah.
And Nutulu was obviously the hazelnut version of what you were talking about.
Yeah, so it's like the adjuncted version.
Are there oats? In
But it's still supposed to be
Bourbon
really
County or
good.
No. Do you know?
Oh, did what? Like what kind of?
Any oats? Are there any oats?
Like
Yeah.
Quaker oats,
Bourbon
like
County
the-
always says that it contains wheat, so I assume
Okay.
that there is.
Some type
Quaker
of food.
oats, whatever.
Do you have the grain bill?
Well, doesn't...
It's on his phone.
Whoa! This is incredible.
Don't look. Don't look. Let him tell you. Don't look.
You
Emil.
got the grain bill for Bourbon County Stout?
We're not giving it
So
away.
I assume.
Yeah. Don't put this in there.
Yeah.
No. This isn't going
We're not
anywhere.
gonna
This
say,
is going
I'm
anywhere.
not going to say
Yeah.
anything. I'm not
Yeah.
going to say anything about what's on
I
it. That's right.
assume-
I'm
No,
not
there
even
isn't.
looking at it. There's no oats. Okay. So there's no oats.
I assume when
That's hilarious.
when anybody gets the job right at Goose, the first thing they want to do is see that grain bill for Bourbon County Stout.
Actually, no. You'd be surprised. Not a lot of people get in Goose just for just because of Bourbon County. Some people just
but
do it
don't you
because it's
have
such a
to-
great opportunity to be a cellarman and like at that level, at that scale. It's kind of
Yeah,
ridiculous
to
scale.
work at Bourbon. To work
Like
at
they're
Goose
not
Island
just
in general.
passionate
Yeah.
about they're not fanboys like us. They go stand in line and
No.
jump with our pants off.
Honestly,
with
I'm
some
like
of
an
our buddies.
anomaly at the brewery right now.
Like
and
you're
being
the
that
you're
I'm
the
like
you're
one
the
of
only
only
fanboy.
Yeah, I'm like one of the only ones who are like
I do like
line
the
standing every
I
festival.
know
going,
Eric
bottle
is a
chasing person.
I know
yeah.
Eric through his brother as a fanboy. I don't know Eric as a brewer at Goose Island. It's just kind of the cool
Yeah.
he made this cool transition.
When I
which
started as a tour guide and I like asked all the cellarmen whenever I would pass by on my tour route, I'd be like, "Hey, are you guys going to like Wake Fest? Are you guys going to this?" They're like, "What's that? What the fuck is that?" Or I'd be like, "Oh, are you going to this and this? Or have you heard of this new bottle that dropped from this brewery?" They're like, "We don't care." Like,
I just-
we're so
I-
jaded
get away
at
from
this
us,
point
kid.
That whatever.
I just like to point out that when you started off there as a tour guide. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
That's good, and you've worked your way up to the barrel house, man. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Oh wait, so you said you know like the
Loser.
whole history of Goose Island?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I used to spend like 6 hours a day explaining the history of Goose Island.
So,
and, like,
Wait a minute, how were you not able to answer some of the questions earlier?
Well, no one has asked me anything really like history specific.
So nothing's asking that's been on the tour.
So Pat asked him a question when we took a break, and he said, do you know like the history? Because I can give you the history in like 5 minutes. So we were like, okay, if we want to have him do it, it would be interesting to see him give a spiel in 5 minutes.
Can you give the 5-minute spiel of the history?
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
5 minutes is a lot of time, actually.
Not really.
Well, we're gonna time it.
It's actually a perfect amount of
We'll
time.
go on a timer.
You ready to go?
Let's go.
The main thing is like the connection to the actual Goose Island that I've always wondered, because there's so many people, like, especially like who aren't originally from Chicago,
right,
who like finally look at a map and they're like, wait, Goose Island is an actual place?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it's not just a brewery.
I can tell you that too. The name
All right.
comes from the
So
location.
here we go. What we're about to do is we're going to open up the coffee. I know you guys still working on this. We're going to pour this and.
I can chug it.
All right, keep your pants on though.
Oh, he knows.
I did it.
How does he know? Oh no.
Pastry boys. They're the
I've been
worst.
revealed.
They're the worst.
Haven't you been?
More ways than one.
Eric
The
is going to.
employee area of the Barrel Warehouse has Bourbon County coming out of the water fountains. So he's like, this isn't nothing to him.
It's true.
All right, so Eric, give us
Really?
as fast as you can. You know what? Actually, so in 10 seconds, I'm going to let this go down. Nobody say anything. We're going to time you and find out how long it'll take you to give us the history of Bourbon County in
Abbreviated
3,
history?
2, 1, tour.
Bourbon County or Goose Island?
Goose Island. Sorry. We'll
Oh,
take
yeah.
off a couple
All
seconds.
right, so Goose Island was founded back in 1992 by John Hall. At the time, Mr. John Hall was working for the U.S. Container Corps, selling boxes and all that fun shit, bubble wrap and stuff like that. And then he went on a trip to London, had a bunch of different beer styles at the time. They had a bunch of ESBs, they had porters, they had stouts, all these things that were kind of we weren't too familiar with back in the U.S. And he decided, oh, I love this shit. It's fucking incredible, and I'm fucking hammered. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna make this shit back home. This would be fucking sweet. And then he ran into one big problem when he got back home. He's like, oh, I don't really know how to make a beer. That kind of you kind of need to know how to do that to make beer. And so he calls up his son Greg Hall, who was in college at the time. He's like, hey, Greg, you're studying science or something like that. Whatever, it's less important. Make beer instead. Drop out of school, fuck school. And then Greg's like, all right, sounds cool, Dad. And then he dropped out, became the first brewmaster at Goose Island. And that's about it, how the company in general got started. They got the actual name for the company from the island called Goose Island. That's an actual place over here in Chicago. Because there's a certain period of time when feathers are just all over the place. So it's just goose feathers everywhere. And the first location for Goose Island was at 1800 North Clybourne, which was very close by to that actual island itself. It was gonna be Ogden Brewery just because it was Mayor Ogden at the time, but they decided Goose Island sounds cooler, and Ogden just sounds gross to say. It's like one of those word vomity type of things, like Ogden. Fucking marshmallow. It just sounds nasty as hell. And so they decided to start the first Goose Island location over there at Goose Island. Yes.
Wow.
Nice.
Dude, that was
how the place was founded.
That was 1 minute and 52 seconds.
Yes.
Well
pretty
done.
good.
Well done. That's pretty good.
Except that Pat missed half of it because he decided to take a restroom break.
I don't blame him. If
Get water.
If there was a perfect time to go and do it, it was then. Yeah, that was good. Thank you.
I think you actually misspoke.
Oh, no.
I think you said 1992. The actual brew was started in 1988.
Yep.
My God.
Now you know why he's not a tour guide anymore.
I lost my job.
It was only so long. Okay.
This is going to be the one he does not tell people at work to listen to.
Guys, don't listen to this.
Yeah.
I think they'll understand.
All right, let's do it again. I knew 2 minutes.
I have something about Mayor
He
Ogden.
can edit it out.
Edit out the
1988.
92. Hold on. I gotta say real quick. So Goose Island was founded back in 1988. All right, put that.
I'll put that in.
there.
Perfect.
There you go.
I'm gonna throw an applause somewhere too because
I don't think you needed to. I don't think you needed to do the echo effect.
That's what I want.
I had a thought. I lost it.
Oh, but no. So yeah, Pat did walk away, but he asked. He was like, "What's the thing about Mayor Ogden?"
Yeah.
What'd you say about
Mayor Ogden was the mayor at the time, so they
There was
were
a Mayor Ogden?
Yeah.
That
you
was
sure?
like 1888.
Well, that's what he said.
Daley was the mayor at that time.
Yeah, that was like 100 plus years ago, man.
No, but there was
a mayor in '88.
But there was a mayor.
There was a mayor.
Even Ogden
Not a
was not
modern
there.
Ogden was very esteemed mayor, known for building a lot of.
Well, I mean, that could have just been what it was.
That would have been a
Chicago.
good name for the
Yeah.
brewery. Yeah.
Ogden Brewery.
Do we have a Google? Do we have a Google?
The
on
name
here?
just sounds weird, so.
That's
we
right.
gotta Google.
This part will probably be edited.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
I figure a lot.
No,
it won't be at this
what you
point.
just did, that will not be edited.
Ogden.
But right, so no, that answers my question. So like where the tap room or whatever you call it,
The Clybourne?
Clybourne, that's
The original location.
That's the original, and that's
Yeah, you
because
can tell.
it is like a couple blocks from Goose Island.
And
so
you
that
can
makes
tell
sense.
too, like when it first came out, it's very like, London themed, old school brew pub style. Back when it was pretty new, before the renovation in 2017. Yeah, Mayor Ogden was actually the first mayor of Chicago. Yeah. You hear that?
Well,
Mayor
smells
Ogden
like
was
green
actually the
peppers.
first mayor
Yeah,
of
right.
Chicago. Yeah. So
Alright.
it's kind of.
So I was right though when I said there was a daily in Mayor at that time.
Yeah.
Great. We just cracked open.
We got like 2 spliced editings
Perfect.
right there.
I'll figure it out. I got 2 weeks to do
That'd
this.
be great.
Actually, I've got like 4 weeks to
That's
figure
not
this out.
digging it.
No.
No, he like Brandon said it smells like green peppers and it tastes like green peppers.
It does.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I got green pepper taste on this. We cracked open in 2016 coffee, Bourbon County, and right off the bat I smelled green pepper, and there is a green pepper kind of flavor to this. God damn it, Emil, why don't you crack this open with me in 2016?
Coffee is one of the more sensitive
this-
ingredients that you can use
I don't
with these
taste green
kinds of
pepper at
beer
all.
because it does gain that kind of green
Not at
peppery
all.
characteristic after a certain amount of time.
It's funny because it goes.
It's opening up
It's
a
got
little.
I mean, yeah,
It
it's
goes-
got
Give it a
coffee.
minute.
It
Yeah,
goes.
guys,
It goes to.
Jesus.
But it goes to show. I've been swirling it, and letting it open it up.
All over my carpet.
Yeah, it's all over Brandon's carpet. It goes to show though, like different palates. Like it's kind of funny because there'll be times where we'll get together and we'll try different beers and we'll disagree on things. We'll agree on things. You guys, you and Ron will be like, this coffee beer is all green pepper. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? All I taste is like roasted goodness. This is one of the times. Like the aftertaste in my mouth is more coffee than anything.
Jesus.
We almost had a disaster.
Beer save.
We almost had a disaster in the studio, aka the basement.
Finish your story.
I like it. I smelled green peppers when I first put it up to my nose, and I tasted it, and I did not taste green.
Here, I'll be
It's
honest.
phasing out a little bit.
The aftertaste in my mouth tastes like coffee. Everything, the smell and the taste on my tongue is kind of like green
Yeah,
pepper.
the smell sucks. I'll be completely honest with you. It's not appealing.
I don't really taste coffee until right at the end, and it's more like the I was saying like the creme brulee type of caramelized sugar that I'm getting that helps bring out that coffee. It does kind of taste a little like green.
In fact,
pepper to me.
It's weird after having just consumed the 2018, and now this is going to sound kind of wacky and nuts, but kind of like the smell now as it's opening up a little bit is reminding me more and more of the 2018 Proprietors.
Okay.
That is just chocolate. It is chocolate.
So much chocolate.
For some reason, this particular coffee, and I think hands down the favorite of this vintage of Bourbon County was this particular bottle, the coffee, and it has been 3 years, so it is probably past its prime in terms of coffee. But for whatever reason, I think this might be Tony, when you tasted fudge on one of them, I get that, and then the bitterness of the coffee is just amplifying a little bit of that for me.
Sure.
I don't know.
That's like I was saying, going back to different tastes of different beers.
I wish I had a 2018 prop actually to crack open right now and just
Go
let
home.
you guys smell it.
Go
Go
home and get it real quick.
I only have
You're not too far.
Run!
yeah. No,
What time you?
I wish I had one next to it and to like side by side with you guys, so you could actually kind of like feel and sense what I'm trying to.
No, I think I understand what you're saying. I can't get over the.
I'm not getting any green peppers.
I am. That's all I get.
I
Gotta
got
like
a
it.
tinge of it. But I think
It's
it's
one
one,
thing
it's
that
one
kinda
of those
stands
things
out.
where the more you think about it too, the
Exactly.
more you're going to be.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
the
yeah,
more you're
exactly.
gonna get out of
100%.
it. Not to like say that you're wrong because I do get a tinge of it too. And everyone's
It's faded
palate is
for me,
different
I
variants
feel
as
like.
well.
A little bit.
What is?
The green pepper, it's faded
It's
for me.
fading for you.
Yeah.
It's what are you tasting now?
Well,
What does it open itself up to?
So, what was the one? I'm trying to go back to one of the ones we had previously, but it's. I'm getting the base of the 2016, but I'm not getting a lot of chocolate, but I'm getting more of the dark fruits, but I'm getting a lot of brown sugar.
Okay.
I'm getting like caramelized
I'm getting a little bit of bitterness as well. That's probably from the coffee.
Mm.
You know. But I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm getting like Bourbon County and then like, you know, brown sugar, some bitterness, and then that's all I'm really pulling out of it right now. And no more green pepper.
I'm pulling out of the fact that we are all fucking pretty much in the bag at this point.
What's in the bag?
With how much
do you have actual coffee? Because I'm like pretty drunk.
The conversation has drifted from like, we're going to spend 20 minutes on how we're talking about it. Does this taste like green pepper?
May I?
I know, right? Quite straight away.
We can let
Just
that
add,
go. It's not that big of a deal.
Go ahead, Eric. What were you going to say?
I was like, it's straight away quite a bit from the actual topic of like Bourbon County and such.
What was the topic?
Ask me a barrel aging question.
Can you go?
do you
want to go back on the tour? Can you do the tour one more time? The history of.
I could go to the Bourbon County portion of the tour.
Do you guys actually? Do you have keys to the warehouse? Let's just go over there now.
Actually, you know what? That seems highly appropriate. I was joking, but yeah, the Bourbon County part of the tour. I'm not going to time you on this, but I feel like because this is a 2-part episode with the party and how much we've talked about Bourbon County tonight as well, if you can give us the Bourbon County history.
Just basic rundown of Bourbon County in
man.
general.
Let's do it.
Okay.
For anybody who doesn't know.
Okay, so I think just the basics of it all is that it was the 1000th batch of beer Goose Island was going to make, and Greg Hall decided to be something cool and special. At the time, he also just happened to be at a big bourbon tasting festival over in Bourbon County, Kentucky. Met Booker Noe, who was the master distiller for Jim Beam at the time. Had a cool conversation. Went home with a barrel strapped to the top of his car and decided, I'm going to put some fucking beer inside of this thing. And he did. Put a big-ass Russian Imperial Stout inside of it. Let it sit for quite some time. Put it on tap, just almost randomly. And everyone at the pub was just going fucking nuts about it. And everyone was just talking about how ridiculous it was and how like it wasn't really a beer. He's like, screw you guys, you're drunk, you still like it. And they did. And so, like I told you earlier, entered it into GABF just to kind of like feel out how it would be under the Russian Imperial Stout category. And they were like, get this out of my face, it's too good. You're disqualified. Screw you for bringing the best beer at the festival. And
get this out of my face.
Yeah, they gave him fucking honorable mention and everything, and then told him, you're disqualified. You get no medal, but come back next year, please.
To get the fuck out of there.
They made his own category for him called Bourbon Barrel Aged Stouts, and then obviously just placed gold in it for the next couple of years. Became a really big thing as the the barrel aging program expanded. He just realized that he happens to be in the best place to bourbon barrel age a beer, Chicago. That's why when you showed me your barrel earlier, I asked you a bunch of questions about it and like what if you were temperature controlling or anything like that. Because the truth of the matter is, when you're bourbon barrel aging a stout, is that we are like in prime condition territory for it. You want it to go between temperature fluctuations. You want it to be hot. You want it to be cold throughout the period of that aging. Just because how wood acts. You know? As it gets hotter, the wood's going to expand. As it gets colder, it's going to condense itself. So you're going to get breathing of the barrel, which is going to allow the bourbon, which is going to allow the beer to seep into deeper layers of the different characteristics that you'll get of the bourbon barrel itself. Because they call the deeper layer of a bourbon barrel the devil's cut, which the beer will be able to seep into as it goes through that breathing process throughout of it. So it just sucks it in, blends it in with the bourbon, sticks it back inside of the beer as it blends over time. So we're kind of in the perfect place for it, for bourbon barrel aging. So a lot of the time people ask, like, what's like big secrets about Bourbon County that makes it so good? We just have it so good here, honestly, with conditions and how fresh we get the barrels and like how recently dumped with bourbon they are. And really that's all there is to it. A whole lot of patience, a whole lot of making sure those barrels are of the highest quality that you can get them. And that's what eventually gets you like the most refined product that you can get over time. And also the blending aspect of it. Because no two barrels are the same. You know, every barrel has its different life that it went through of the bourbon it had beforehand. And as to another one that might have had bourbon in it too. That's not even a thing of science, not even a thing of experimentation. There's nothing you can control for. It's the natural life of the thing as it breathes in and out with the spirit that's in it and the beer that you put in it. So,
isn't the beauty of it though? Is that it's
absolutely.
I want to say that was the best monologue we've ever had.
Yeah, I honestly, God, yeah.
That is where I will put the applaud track in. No, thank you. No, seriously, that was a great. Sorry, and I.
Totally not at all.
I did just want to commend you and thanks for giving us the whole history on.
I'm surprised it came at the time it came.
That was perfect.
But
that was good.
That sums
It does.
kind of all of it up.
Yeah,
It came.
it does.
It's here. Like, what more can we say? Like the audience who's going to be listening to this, I assume
A bunch of jerks.
maybe not, but let's assume that they know what this stuff is. You know
Right.
how much more the accolades, the hype, whatever you want to call it, that follows this stuff around. The legions of fanboys that turned into professional brewers themselves, who now command their own legions of fanboys, and all of this within a relatively short amount of time, just by a chance meet. The way Eric summed that whole thing up, going back to the question about what was each of our individual first encounters with the beer, that's it. I mean, that's it in a nutshell, and that kind of a special sort of meeting that happens, just kind of makes this I don't know, just makes this whole thing so special and just really enjoyable and just really fantastic stuff.
But I think
I
sometimes
agree.
you have to set aside like the hype and like the lines that everyone stand behind and stuff like that, and realize that barrel aging beer has been a long time thing, and there's more to it than just the hype and the lines and everything like that. There's actual history, there's actual work, and like things that have come from the different aspects of all of it. There's different work that has gone through just the people who made the barrels themselves, the people who distilled the bourbon that goes into it, and the decision of which to put it inside of a bourbon barrel. You know, there's...
And honestly, I think all of us can agree that the beer really does, Bourbon County, speak for itself. You know, there's a reason why we all enjoy it, whether you work there, you wait in line, or you happen to stumble upon it at some point. Here we are, after so many years of enjoying it. We're all sitting around drinking, what, 5, 6 glasses, or 6 beers together.
Yeah.
More than 2 glasses. But anyways, we're gonna wrap this up. Pat,
I had a whole bunch more questions.
nah, we're gonna do a
barrels.
Well, we might be able to edit them in if you want to ask real quick.
Can we Can we do another podcast later about barrels specifically, and about like, isn't it Coopers that make the barrels?
Yeah.
And, like, they must be like in a whole lot of demand now.
Something really cool to add into there. So with the coming of Bourbon County brand Stout, and with the coming of like bourbon barrel aging beer all around the United States, actual job has been created in the market called barrel broker. A person who like actually is in a middleman between the breweries and the distilleries in general. So a whole new job has been created in which like the person who decides this distillery has a good enough bourbon barrel for this beer company, I'm gonna put them in connection. And you
like
have to have a plug, you know, you gotta have a man on the
Eric?
inside, yeah.
Why do you need? Can you explain it? I know.
Oh,
I think,
because bourbon barrels are so in high demand now. Everybody wants to get.
I think
why?
in Ireland,
Why?
like the whiskey people making whiskey in Ireland are using old bourbon barrels over there too.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
like every brewery in the U.S. is trying to make a bourbon barrel aged.
And
stuff
it's harder
too.
for them, like you said, over there overseas, because bourbon is so United States specific. You know, what determines a bourbon barrel is like very specific here. I don't know. Do you guys know it? It's like 51% corn mash made here in the United States. Never a reused barrel. So there's so many specifics that go into
that
it.
actually was the point I was hoping that you would touch on.
Bourbon barrels are so special in that regard.
They're not reused.
Oh,
They
absolutely
cannot
not,
by
no.
law.
Yeah,
By law,
it is illegal to call it that.
It is illegal to use a barrel more than one time.
It's actually in the
United
Constitution.
States.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
the whiskey rebellion.
When they were deciding on
George
rights
Washington
and
was
human rights.
still the
Nowadays
president.
it'd be a sanitary thing.
Yeah, George Washington was still the president during the whiskey rebellion. I think because of this very specific point.
God, I love George.
And so, if you want a little bit of history here, that is the reason. Because of the whiskey rebellion, that is the reason why a whiskey barrel can only ever be used one time and can never be reused again.
Never.
And that's the reason why we even have something like this. Yeah. If that law didn't exist, distillers would use them over and over and over again. Yeah. And bourbon barrels specifically have to be American oak. They can be no other wood and no other kind. So like a lot of wines, for example, are aged in French oak barrels. You cannot use French oak. Although some American whiskeys now are finished in French oak barrels as sort of like a fortified kind of. But that's a discussion for another day.
I think as a last takeaway, like if there's any other, if you don't already have a reason to appreciate like bourbon barrel aging and beer in general, you should at least appreciate that that I completely forgot what I was about to say. That email kind of took it completely away.
And this.
I really tried ending this 12 minutes ago. I tried ending it 12 minutes ago.
Cut the whole thing.
The fact of it, how much we drank, that is the perfect ending. You'd be like,
that was.
Oh, no, I know. All right.
Pat, you can't walk away. Cheers.
I want the cheers to be on.
Yeah.
I want to say,
Pat,
thanks for the party. That was a lot of fun.
Inspiration.
And you actually did inspire this whole episode to happen. And why is that coming up so close? We got a mics right here. That we don't need.
Brandon, Jesus.
Pat, thanks a lot for inspiring the episode with having the party and inviting us. That was great.
Can I just say that real quick?
It's okay, host. It's okay, Prez.
It's a beautiful thing. Real quick.
It's okay, Prez.
So if there's any other reason to appreciate like bourbon barrel aged stouts other than the fact that they're fucking incredible, it's that when they made the Constitution, like laws and rights and all those dumb things, they also decided bourbon was very specific and is just as important as everything else. So it should have its own specific rules too.
That's awesome.
Isn't that fucking awesome?
That is fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
I love that you fucking came back to it.
I had cheers.
Again, thanks everybody. Brandon, we'll see you next. I'll see you next week. Thanks everybody for listening. Bye.
Still tastes like green pepper.
I don't think it does.
Music for this episode was provided by Fluid Minds. You can find all of their music at fluidmindsmusic.com. You can also find them on iTunes and Spotify. Thank you to everyone who keeps listening every week. We appreciate it. We look forward to many more episodes with the laughs and beers to go along with it. Cheers.